See you, Carl.
Art, you've been pretty resolute in your overall view that, Q3 earnings are fine, but the market is really keyed in on stimulus talks and a vaccine. And your larger point is that it's treating a vaccine as a binary event, which may not actually turn out to be.
Yeah, I think the market is assuming it's almost like somebody switching on a light and suddenly everything is fine, and we'll all be heading back to restaurants and bars and movie theaters. And I'm not so sure that that's the case. Certainly on a vaccine alone, we have the flu vaccine, which is not exactly the same thing, but its efficacy is not great, and it varies from year to year. So unless this vaccine turns out to be something of a bit of a miracle, that it's sure it's there. And the other thing I would worry about, Carl, is that along with it, the market, to justify some of the prices we're looking at, would need better treatment, something to make the virus a lot less lethal. If they knew how to treat it, it would almost be as good as a vaccine, and a combination of the two would be helpful. But so far, no sign of that, and I think the market's overestimating the effect of the vaccine.
Art, it's Bob, and I share your concerns about complacency. And the reason I'm concerned about it is the market seems to believe that. So if you look at earnings estimates for the first quarter and the second quarter of next year, and that's only a quarter, away, 2 quarters away, the numbers are really reflecting the market's belief that there's going to be a major reopening, certainly starting in the first quarter, but particularly in the second quarter. So we're seeing 15% up for the first quarter of 2021 in the S&P and 45% in the second quarter. And Art, that's a sign to me that the market certainly believes that the reopening is going to happen in a very big way around vaccine in the second quarter. What happens if the efficacy rates for these vaccines are much lower than anticipated? This gets dragged out into the back end of 2021 and 2022. It seems to me these optimistic earnings numbers are going to be completely revised and the market's going to reset. Am I right?
Oh, I think so. And as I said just a few minutes ago, the idea that this is somehow like turning on a light and suddenly the room is bright and you can go about business as it used to be isn't quite there. And then secondarily, you've had the very capable Paul Tudor Jones was on earlier talking about what will happen if you begin to change the capital gains tax and how that will begin to compress a variety of market metrics. So I think the caution flag should be up and flying, Bob. At the very least, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. I just want to ask about earnings season because we're right in the middle of it. In fact, today we're 1/4 of the way through earnings season. 126 companies the S&P have reported, and the numbers have been excellent, way above expectations, and it's held up there. So we have 83% beating. That's way above the normal average of about 65%. The average beat is close to 20%, 19% as you see there. And, the historic average is 3 to 5. So, Art, these numbers are way above expectations. Here's my question to you. The market hasn't moved. The S&P topped out on October 12th. That was the day before earnings. It's been struggling ever since then. And even companies that have spectacular numbers like Coke beat by 20% today, they're not really moving that much. Is this because stimulus and vaccine is dominating the headlines, or because the market already knew this and pushed prices up before that? Why aren't we getting any juice out of these great numbers?
Well, first of all, we're beating some dubious expectations. There's been very little guidance since the spring when the pandemic really broke out. And so there wasn't a lot of guidance. So you're beating numbers that weren't too effective to begin with, and I think you're right. What is more important to this market is both things like the vaccine and or a stimulus program. Where are we going to go? We've been priming the pump again and again. You've had the Fed all out behind you, and yet we need more stimulus from government. There is a fear that if you don't get it, we're going to wind up with a contraction. So there's a lot of overhang here. I think earnings, as I said to you privately a couple of days ago, Bob, earnings are not really a factor. Traditionally, they have been, not this quarter and perhaps not even next quarter.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.